Hey, what's up, guys? So, it's been absolutely ages since I last did a vlog. Um, there's been quite a few factors to that, and so obviously I suffer with really chronic fatigue, and um, that was one of the the kind of irony is that was one of the reasons why I started vlogging in the first place was my chronic fatigue, and the other factor is obviously I work full time. Um, Yeah, um so I work in a full-time job and I have a pet sitting business on the side, which had been going quite well until the Rona hit. Um so I'm not working at the moment because my sickness has actually got quite bad. Um so I'm not actually able to work at the minute because um I decided I didn't feel safe driving too much. Because of my headaches were making me feel really drowsy and unwell. So I decided that I didn't want to drive. So I've taken myself out of work. Uh, so basically, it's become quite problematic for me having my job because I have to drive around for my work. Um, So, how I think it was last time I spoke to you guys was I think I spoke to the rheumatologist and they did some tests. Um, so, the rheumatologist checked all of my joints and was like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with your joints. Go away." Basically, they checked my pituitary gland. They did like special blood tests that had to get sent off on ice to the lab. Um, I never heard anything from them, so I assume that they were all okay. Uh, but you never know with doctors. That's interesting. Actually, I should probably ask my GP about that. The thing is that I had to wait 2 years to see the rheumatologist, and some things, particularly with rheumatology, they can be quite transient. And sometimes when you have to wait that long, the problem can come and go, especially if it is quite a transient problem. It can sort of appear and reappear. It can come and go, come and go. So, my point being is that I don't think that the way the system is set up in my country, I don't think that it works for people like me. It's frustrating when you watch documentaries and people have all these expensive tests done that wouldn't be necessarily available to someone like me. And it's incredibly frustrating that I'm young and I've spent my entire young adulthood not really able to live my life. Just I've spent my young adulthood laying in bed essentially and struggling with debt because of an illness that I can't control. And I've struggled with debt because I can't work properly because of this illness. And I also struggled with working and education, and I'm by no means stupid. I used to get A grades at high school, and I am really quite intelligent, and I've been studying, ancient languages in my own time since I've been off work with sickness. And I can study things really well, but that's in my own time. If I tried to do something to a deadline, I might not fare so well. I did a degree on the Open University, Sorry about the light, by the way. The sun. This is the UK. This is what I'm stuck with. Um, the I did a degree on the Open University, and the support was not great, I have to say. Um, and I found that it was. I found that the the support was lacking very much. For if you fell behind, it was just bang, 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 bang. You know, you were kind of. I remember one of the tutors saying to me, "Oh, well, you should know these verbs by now." I did French and German, basically. You should know these kind of verbs by this stage. Well, I clearly didn't know that kind of verb, so why don't you teach me rather than scolding me for not knowing? Teach me. Don't scold me. That's not how people learn. That's scolding. That's not teaching. And like I can't help not knowing something, and it's not like I've not wanted to know things, and maybe I have been in a lecture where something's happened, and I've been in lectures and I have listened, and I've just not retained information. Sometimes that's one of the analogies that I use a lot of the time, and my parents have said that's a really strange way of putting it. Is it's kind of like having like a jar on my head, and that jar is filled with molasses. It like I can hear what's going on, but it's so slow, and the information doesn't go in. And like I can hear and I can process the information, but it's so slow and kind. It's kind of similar to dissociation, and like I dissociate sometimes. Dissociation is like a big factor with mental health, and obviously my mental health is really at times really shot because of everything that's gone on in my life. Basically, um, I have had a massive um, PTSD is a massive feature in my life because of what happened to me as a child. With my traumatic incident as a child. Um, you know, so I dissociate, and the whole of the last year, 18 months ago, I had an injury at work, which I'm not going to go into in too much depth, but it was a catalyst to my physiological health getting worse, and it was a catalyst to my mental health getting worse because my physiological health was getting worse, and I dissociated really badly. And the last 6 to 8 months, I really don't remember very much at all. In fact, there's a lot of stuff that I've done that probably wasn't socially acceptable, and I don't really remember making the decisions to do those things. And I I don't really know what happened. So kind of there's a lot of things, there's a lot of overlap with mental and physiological health going on. So I want to just talk a little bit about my experience with healthcare. I'll talk about, I guess, if I've got time today, I'll talk about the symptoms. So my experience with healthcare. So I've had GPs tell me, I've literally had a GP. I had a bit of a hissy fit in the GP surgery, and I'm not proud of it. Probably about a year ago now. I can't remember really when it was, but it might have been 2 years ago. The GP actually did this. I don't have time to listen to a list of symptoms. This is an emergency surgery today. And I said to her, I want to walk off a cliff. If that's not emergency, I don't know what is. And I said to her, I just said I wanted an appointment. They gave me an appointment. If you don't think that's an emergency, fine. Fine. And all she did was put me on antidepressants. And I'm still on antidepressants. And that particular GP I don't like. She doesn't have time for mental health. So I had actually gone to say, look, I think that the depression is a symptom, not the illness. The depression is a factor, yes. It's a symptom, though. It's not the main cause. I think the depression is a manifestation of something deeper going on. It's something systemic. Something physiological is going on, which is causing me to feel depressed because I feel like crap every single day of my life. I don't know what it feels like to feel well. I don't have a baseline. I don't have that. I don't know what it feels like to wake up in the morning and feel well. I know I look well. I know I'm young. I'm like 31. I'm young. I don't look unwell, and that's part of my downfall, is that I'm fairly slim. I'm quite athletic. I don't look unwell. But quite clearly I have some form of disabling illness going on that is causing me to feel so dreadful and so wretched all the time. So I've had GPs not listen to me, and I was referred a long time ago to the hospital, to the endocrinologist, and I've actually worked with this endocrinologist. Endocrinologist is someone who looks after hormonal issues. So I was referred to that endocrinologist for blah blah blah. What was it? Gynae problems. So I have had awful periods ever since I hit puberty. So my periods have always been completely irregular and either really, really heavy or really, really painful. To the point where, like, I was bleeding through the cup, a pad, and period pants all in an hour. And I was saying, this is not right. Anyway, I was referred to endocrinology because they thought it was an endocrine problem rather than gynecological. So I went there dutifully, and so basically, for some reason, with anything to do with periods, the only way you'll get listened to is if you say, oh, well, I want to have a baby, which is completely cracked. Like, I don't want to have a baby because the last thing I want to do when I feel like shit every day of my life is to add another little creature that I've got to look after when I can barely function as a human being myself. I honestly, it's completely cracked. Anyway, so the doctor said to me, oh, all you need to do is have sex more often, have a baby, and it might sort your hormones out. Really? Really? Well, absolutely. By this point, I hadn't been using contraceptive and I hadn't fallen pregnant. In fact, since then, I did fall pregnant and I had a miscarriage at 7 weeks. So, clearly, didn't work, love. Sorry. So anyway, as it happens, I took it into my own hands and I asked my GP to go on the pill. She said, because you have migraines, you can only go on the progesterone-only pill. And I was like, fair enough, I'll do that then. So I went on this pill, which is desogestrel. I swear they make it impossible to pronounce these things. Desogestrel. Anyway, I've been on this for 6 months. Best decision of my life ever. I haven't had a period since I started this. No longer am I a slave to the toilet bowl every single month. Thank you so much, little girl. 75 micrograms of progesterone every single day. I mean, like, I was very, 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 not very fertile. Anyway, the pill was more to regulate my periods, but it got rid of the fuckers. So, I'm very happy. Yeah. Very happy. I've got a slightly increased risk of stroke. At this point, I really don't give a shit. I look after my cardiovascular health as much as I can. I try to do everything I can to be healthy. I don't eat shit as much as I can. I mean, I did just eat a whole bit of icing. I made a birthday cake for my husband. I have a whole lump of icing left over, and you know, I've been eating icing straight out of the tin because that's how I roll. But you know, I try not to eat shit too often. It's coming up to Christmas anyway, so you know, whatever. It's my birthday in 2 weeks. I can eat shit if I want to. So yeah, there's that. And what was the other thing? So my periods, I've sorted them out. I kind of wish now, looking back, hindsight's a wonderful thing, that I had done that like 15 years ago, gone on the pill like 15 years ago. I've always been against the pill because I had a friend at well, she wasn't like a friend, but she was like a friendly acquaintance. I went to primary school and secondary school with her. She was never nasty to me. She was just not one of my cliquey friends. She died, and the pill, I think, was a contributing factor. She died of like a blood clot, pulmonary embolism. So I've always been kind of against the pill. She is only 19. God, that sucks. So I've been kind of against it, but it's kind of changed my life for the better. And that's at least one factor of my life isn't so sucky anymore. It's just difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. There's so many factors in your life that could make your life so shit. And that has made my life a little bit better. So, swings and roundabouts, really. So yeah, I get like really bad headaches. At night time it's worse. They're cluster headaches. So it has me climbing the walls at night time. The last week has been particularly bad. So I've been absolutely knackered. So that's why I'm sitting on my bed at the moment, because I'm kind of like spending all my time in bed at the minute. But I put contact lenses in today so I couldn't nap. And so I'm like climbing the walls at night just because it's so painful. It's like 10 out of 10 pain. Extreme pain. I'm currently on anti-epilepsy medication to try and help the migraines. It's not really helping. Waiting neurology. So I've seen a rheumatologist, I've seen an endocrinologist, I'm waiting for a neurologist. I haven't seen a gynecologist yet. Well, that might be the one to add to the mix. I don't know what else to add to the mix. I'm kind of thinking of like, maybe I should just pay privately and see if I can find someone privately to add to the mix. I just don't know what to do, really. Oh, I am not naked bottom half, by the way. I am wearing harem pants. They're palazzo pants, actually, because they're, like, down at the knee, they split. But I am wearing bottom halves. I just realised when I moved that it looked like I was naked on the bottom half. It's like kind of weird to be, like, bundled up on the top half and then not quite dressed on the bottom half, but I am dressed on the bottom half. So, I mean, it's difficult, but I am I am kind of. There are loads of avenues to explore. It just. I kind of feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because at the moment, like, I feel like my job is at risk because I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a pretty manual job. Um, I feel like nobody's listening to me. I feel like, you know, nobody seems to be listening. Everyone seems to think I'm cracked when I'm saying that I think it's connected. I think everything's connected. You know, the musculoskeletal problems, the mental health, the tiredness, the hormonal problems. I think it's all connected, but no one seems to think it is. I've got a rash on my legs that I've had for years. No one seems to think it's connected, and I think it is. But then what do I know? I'm only a lonely auxiliary nurse. But what do I know? So that's my life at the moment. I am sure I'll catch up with you guys. I will talk to you when I know a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep plodding along through life and seeing how things go and just continuing along that vein, basically. So thanks for listening to me wandering on through life and just blabbing about my woes and all of that. And sorry for me sounding really bunged up. Like I said, I don't have the Rona. I just have really bad headaches that make my face hurt. That's just my life at the moment, unfortunately. So yeah, take care, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.